Okay, so this video is about Wendy Williams, of course, and this is like really sad because I'll just tell you some of the stories I've been hearing. Like, she was on a park bench, she was sleeping, she was somewhere collapsed drunk, out in the open, in public, all kinds of crazy stories. So, some turn out to be somewhat truth, and then others, I don't know if it's exaggerated or what, but all of this is like really, really sad because Wendy is going through it, and it has a lot to do with her money and who is managing her money, and it is a hot freaking mess. And so every story that I hear about Wendy Williams tends to be something that is really, really negative and is destroying her um, all around. And it always sounds like it is financial issues that have caused a lot of it. Um, so Wendy Williams, this article is out of page 6. It says Wendy Williams is left to die by ex-financial advisor, former attorney claims. So this is by Francesca Bacardi, and it's out of page 6. So Wendy, she blasts her ex-manager and demands money from Wells Fargo. And so this was put out August 26, 2022. So this was not that long ago. It's fairly recent. So it's just sad. I don't know if there's like content to this article. It's kind of slow to load, but what I've been hearing is just not really been good for Wendy right now. It seems like a lot has been going on in the life of Wendy Williams, and it has not been good at all. It is not a good look. So, I believe that it is also showing ads, so that's why it's sort of slow to load. It's asking me a lot of questions, asking me if I want to get notifications and stuff. So it has other articles on other people's life, like, that are not Wendy Williams, of course, but these they have some post pics of with Wendy Williams, so I don't know what those are about. They're supposed to be coming up, but I was really concentrated on the article. So it says Wendy Williams, former attorney, claims the talk show host has been left to die by her ex financial manager. So I guess this was Wendy up here when she had a new boyfriend. So I don't know what happened with that. You could look at it at your own leisure. But this is about mainly her financial troubles. Seems like there's a lot of drama. So page 6 hasn't hesitated to pretty much fill us in on some of it. So her ex-financial manager left her to die. So LaShawn Thomas tells Page 6 exclusively in a lengthy statement that Wells Fargo financial advisor Lori Schiller, who no longer works for Wendy Williams but is embroiled in her lawsuit against the bank, is attempting to muddy the waters by allegedly contributing to the false report that Wendy's son had misused her American Express card. So it has something to do with that, supposedly. And I heard some article come out saying that the son was supposedly, using her money or spending her money, without her wishes or whatever. So however that went, I don't know how true all of that is. But you know how it goes. All these different developments. So the real issue is that Wells Fargo, through their advisor, refused to grant Wendy access to her own accounts. So I don't know if anybody has followed the Wendy Williams show and Wendy Williams, or if you're a fan or just somebody on the outside, like an outlier, somebody that's kind of hearing through the grapevine all of these developments that are happening with her. more recently having to do with financial issues. So this includes the right to check her balance as well. So Thomas says this, so no bank should have the authority to do that. So no one attempted to gain access to any of Wendy's accounts. So Wells Fargo advisor, former manager Bernie Young were the only people with the access. So they left Wendy to die, basically. So she couldn't even access her own bank account. So here's a picture of Wendy right here. It's sad what's happening to this woman. She is going down. I mean, because the people that have surrounded her and the people she thought whom she could at least entrust with some of her financial business basically put her in a situation where she can't have access to her certain monies that she has. So Wendy Williams' former attorney, LaShawn Thomas, details what happened between the talk show host and her old team that led her guardianship, just to lead her to guardianship. So Thomas explains that because Wendy, who is 58 years old, had no access to any of her funds, she was forced to use an Amex for all her living expenses, including flights to the New York area for doctor appointments, groceries, etc. So since this, the shock jock her health has also taken a toll. But I mean, wouldn't your health take a toll if you have all this going on and you can't even have access to the money that you had worked hard for? And so that's probably a contributor to a lot of it, I would believe. So it says her health's taking a turn for the worse. Her 22-year-old son, Kevin Hunter Jr., has stepped in to help her both mentally and physically with assistance team and doctors that, according to the lawyer, I guess they're trying to help her through her rough patch. So it's more than a rough patch, and it's really sad. So he coordinated all of her appointments and made sure that she attended all the appointments, cooked and cleaned for his mother. So he's been trying to help his mother. I feel like he's close to his mother. And so he absolutely loves his mother without question. And it says no one should place the blame or allegations and wrongdoings at his feet. And so he feels as though that people are trying to use him to say that he's the one that has caused this, but he hasn't. There are other people that are around or have surrounded Wendy in the past or had been involved with her finances. Somehow they got involved with her finances, and they're not being honest about their wrongdoing. So the defense of Kevin Jr. Hunter comes after a report claimed that he had charged $100,000 to his mom's credit card without authorization and demanded Schiller pay it. And so the validity of this report is very unclear. I'm saying unclear, as it is pegged to an anonymous source, of course, but the University of Miami student denied the claims in a statement, telling the U.S. Sun, I vehemently deny any allegations of unauthorized use of my mother's American Express card. So this is a false narrative perpetuated to just freezing her accounts. And so that's what came out in the beginning. And I had an article where she even had made a video about what people were doing to her maliciously. She made no mention of her son having anything to do with it in that video, as I recall. But Thomas, however, said that Schiller and Williams' former manager Young were the only people to have access to her accounts. And so that should tell you right there. So Lori's responsibility was to pay all of Wendy and Kevin Jr.'s bills. So Kevin has always reached out to Lori for payment of bills, she said. And so she basically, some other people are, I guess, defending Kevin Hunter Jr. on that issue. So a condo in Miami prompted what ultimately would lead to the guardianship she is under, now living under the rule by New York court. And so I guess this is probably the article. I don't think it's that long. I think it stops right here. So or I'm gonna stop it here because I think what stops this page is it has a lot of ads. But you can see Wendy right here, this still photo of her. She's coming out of what looks like somebody has her in a wheelchair, and Williams' health issues forced her to step away from the talk show. So I guess it does go into some more about Wendy. The details, it says a source tells that Wendy Williams enlisted Schiller to work out the details of the real estate purchase because the advisor allegedly promised that Wendy's got health, or she got heat from it. So the author, that she could help her avoid commission fees. And so a month before Kevin Jr. His lease was up. However, he got a call from the landlord that said he never received an offer to purchase, and the price had skyrocketed to about $250,000. So I guess this is their living situation. Sounds pretty scary that this is happening. So I guess there's a lot of problems with all of this. It's really sad that all of this is happening. I know I've said that a number of times, but it is. To be in a predicament like that, it just seemed like she had so much going for her, and now all of this is going on. So Thomas confirms that these claims in her statement and explains that Schiller out of nowhere informed Kevin Jr. that she could no longer speak with him without Wendy's written authorization. And so because of a verbal one was no longer sufficient. And so if you see on the side of me, there's an ad. So I believe that's what keeps the things going. So it says in response, it keeps all of the little photos going. So in response to Wendy Williams had asked to be taken to a local Wells Fargo branch to submit the written authorization and the power of attorney. However, Thomas claims that the local branch manager refused to accept the power of attorney. Wow, that's pretty crazy, because you usually think when you have a power of attorney that you at least would have them to, look at it a little closer and then take things a little bit more serious. This is Wendy right here, and it's so sad what's happening. So Kevin Jr. has stepped up to help his mom mentally and physically. So Wendy Williams and the branch manager called Schiller, who was in charge, who then would only agree to talk to Williams without anyone else present, including Thomas, who was her legal representative at the time. So he didn't want to talk to anybody else, just Wendy herself. So that kind of sounds, questionable. Like, why do you not want to talk to anyone else in front of Wendy about this type of incident? So it makes it seem like, maybe there was some malice or something that hadn't gone on. It just makes it more suspicious. But the right to counsel is a constitutional right that a financial institution does not have the freedom to curtail, Thomas says in a statement, noting that Schiller ultimately agreed to fly to Miami to meet with Williams, but she never arrived. And so I guess down at the bottom here are pictures of Wendy Williams, and you can see that Williams' battle against Wells Fargo remains ongoing. So instead, locked Wendy out of all of her accounts, Thomas claims, and restricted all access to every single account, and Wendy was even restricted from going to the bank and personally withdrawing funds. And so Wendy Williams, a woman who has worked hard for her wealth, was left penniless, the statement adds. So Wendy's representative said that the former radio host had no response to, I guess, what is going on here. So Wendy Williams' show was officially canceled in June. And so this was her when she was, doing her show. So the real goal here is to help Wendy Williams regain full and sole control of her assets that she has worked hard for the last 30 years of her life. So Sean Zanotti told Page Six this, and so we would appreciate it if you give her time to heal. So you see me constantly like blocking this. So this is the actual end of the article. So Schiller didn't respond to Page Six for the request for comment, but the spokesperson for Wells Fargo has denied any allegation of improper action with respect to Wendy Williams' accounts. So William has been under the court order guardianship, and this is currently with which she has not in agreement, because she feels that she is capable of managing her money since the spring. And so that's pretty much the article. But this Page Six, I guess it has a lot of different photos and stuff that keep coming up and popping up. But it's sad, and I don't know if you guys see that photo that we just saw. I don't know if it's, you know, part of her health issue, but it looked like Wendy is not really doing well. From what I was looking at, I was like, oh my gosh, tell me this is not her. It is her, but if you look at her legs, it's like, oh wow, is this really her? Is something going on? It looks like she kind of, in her arms, her body, like her face is kind of peaked. I don't know if this is, please tell me this is Photoshop, but it doesn't look like, I'm afraid to say this isn't. Looks like she kind of wasted away a little bit. And I guess maybe I'm saying it mildly or whatever. It just seems really sad that her health is taking a turn for the worst. And I believe that has a lot to do with the way the picture turned out, is that it's showing her sort of like a decline in health, because now she, you know, that other picture she was in a wheelchair and it looks really like bad, like she's going through something. So this is the one that currently, I guess, came up, the one with her. Well, there's several pictures of Wendy Williams, of course, and the one in the wheelchair that kind of stands out as well. So this looks like those are happier pictures of her, but the one in the wheelchair, that looks really sad, you know. So Wendy Williams, she's really going through a lot right now. But anyway, with having said that, it just seems like, you know, she was upbeat, she was real charismatic. But I've heard also stories about some people who didn't like Wendy Williams. I also saw that there was an article that came out saying that she was trying to boycott Sherry Shepherd's show, because that was supposed to be the show to follow up Wendy's show, to carry on what Wendy can no longer do. So I don't know how much of that is true or not. I don't know if you know, heard of that. That recently came out that she was trying to boycott that. I don't know if it was her, because, you know, sometimes there's certain other powers that try to put people or pit people against one another, but some of that may have been true. Now, the other parts of the stories that I've been hearing is that Wendy will show up to the set, or she has, and you know, this was probably around the time when they had canceled the show, and she would keep coming up to the set and acting as though that a show was going to take place, and they had to keep telling her show had canceled. So that sounds like it could be possibly true, you know, especially if you're not really sure of what's going on, and somebody's playing with your money, and then they're telling you one thing and then you turn out to find something else, and then people are not letting you know what's going on, and all this craziness is going on. So it sounds like somebody was really doing something. It almost sounds like it's deliberate. I'm just going on, you know, my opinion, and I'm not saying that, you know, it just seems like it's like somebody set her up for this type of, all this craziness with her money. It's like they just locked her off of her money, and it almost seems like somebody was trying to get that money and steal it from her, or trying to have access to it so that she doesn't. And so I guess this is a developing story, because more of whatever's happening to Wendy will come out, and a lot has so far, but a lot more will come out. So I don't know if somebody is out there, they have this deep-seated hatred for Wendy, but I know there was some people that when she was doing her show, she would do these episodes where she would talk about relationships. And when she would talk about relationships, they were relationships that were good and also relationships that didn't go well. And private, intimate information about people who maybe their relationship is failing. And so that was another thing that was coming out. And so that didn't look good either. And so some people are saying that this could be possibly karma for Wendy. So I don't know how much of that is true or not. We shall see. I would say this is the developing story, and we shall see if it is in fact drama. I really don't know. In terms of, like, or karma is what they say. They say karma because of what has happened thus far, which is unfortunate. And so we shall see. That's all I can say. You see all these pop-ups? I think it's page 6. When they have all the different ads. Some of the articles will be attached to like maybe a whole maybe magazine, and they want you to subscribe to the magazine, so they'll have all these different ads that pop up. And so this is a Wendy here. She had did a video. Wendy had did a video, and this was part of a still photo of Wendy in a video when she was talking about I believe the person that is in question that had to do with her money and was trying to keep her from her money in Wells Fargo. And so it sounds like a lot of drama and a lot of viciousness might be going on. Somebody doing something malicious possibly, especially when the person doesn't want anybody else talking to Wendy, and they just only want to talk to Wendy. They don't want anybody else involved because they don't want somebody else to be able to. I feel like it's just a move on their part. Like, we don't want another party involved listening to the conversation or maybe recording it because it could end up in court. And so that's what it sounds like to me. And so I would say that Wendy should have somebody else intervene on the conversation when it comes to her money, because it sounds like somebody's doing something funny. That's the way it sounds to me. But anyway, having said that, I'm going to let this video go. It's just really sad. I really do think that she doesn't deserve this kind of abuse. And I feel like there's somebody else behind all of this as well that is creating this. And they're sitting back and they're trying to destroy her from the top on down. I mean, they are just trying to destroy this woman emotionally. And it's sad. And, all those crazy stories that are coming out, and, the paparazzi follows. They don't have a problem congratulating you on your way up, and they don't have a problem watching you go down in flames on your way down and tearing you down in the process. So that's the way I would think. Until then, we shall see what happens with Wendy Williams' situation and how she deals with it and what happens later.